What if the roles were reversed? What if Gaza had been the oppressor for the past 2 years, launching relentless attacks while innocent Israeli children suffered in poverty and fear?
Welcome to Question Everything, where we challenge the status quo and dive deep into truths no one else dares to. Get ready to question everything you know.
Would the world's outrage echo as loudly, or would silence prevail? Let's explore this chilling hypothetical and uncover the biases shaping global reactions today. Current state of Gaza. Today, Gaza is in ruins. Over 500,000 Palestinians are trapped in famine as of August 2025, with widespread starvation and preventable deaths reported by the UN. Malnutrition has claimed at least 74 lives this year alone, a sharp spike amid Israel's ongoing siege that restricts aid. Hospitals in Gaza are decimated. Attacks like the one on Al-Shifa Hospital in August 2025 killed journalists and worsened the crisis, leaving facilities overwhelmed and unable to treat the injured. Food shortages are dire. Israel's control over aid flow has led to calculations of minimal calories needed for survival, pushing families to desperation. The suffering of Palestinians is profound and multifaceted. Entire families huddle in makeshift tents, scavenging for scraps amid rubble-strewn streets where clean water is a luxury. Chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension go untreated as medical supplies dwindle, leading to agonizing deaths. Mental health crumbles under constant bombardment. PTSD is rampant, with survivors reliving traumas in nightmares. The economy is shattered, unemployment soaring above 60%, forcing people to sell possessions for bread. This isn't just survival, it's a slow erosion of dignity, where hope fades with each passing day. Children bear the brunt of this agony. Thousands have been hospitalized for acute malnutrition since October 2023, their tiny bodies wasting away, ribs protruding, eyes sunken from dehydration. At least 121 children have died from starvation in 2025, part of over 317 total famine-related deaths. UNICEF warns of an unprecedented hunger crisis, with toddlers too weak to cry, their growth stunted forever, condemning them to lifelong health issues. These kids aren't just hungry, they're traumatized, orphaned, and deprived of childhood. Schools are bombed or converted into shelters, leaving a generation without education, haunted by the sounds of drones and explosions. Save the Children's CEO called UN indecision on Gaza complicity, as children are starved to death. Imagine toddlers foraging for weeds or animal feed, their laughter replaced by silence. This is the daily heartbreak for Gaza's youngest. Compounding this is a severe media blackout, enforced by Israel to control the narrative. Since the war began nearly 2 years ago, foreign journalists have been banned from independent entry into Gaza, forced into military-escorted visits where footage is pre-reviewed. As of August 2025, over 247 Palestinian journalists have been killed, including 5 in a recent double-tap attack on a hospital tent. The Media Freedom Coalition, including 28 countries like the UK and Canada, issued a statement on August 21, 2025, demanding unrestricted access, calling the ban unacceptable under international law. US senators urged Israel to protect journalists and allow entry in an August 20 letter. This blockage silences independent observation, enabling unchecked atrocities. Over 260 journalists denounced it in August 2025 as a deliberate silencing tactic. Without free press, the world sees filtered images, downplaying Palestinian suffering while amplifying Israeli perspectives. Stories of children's deaths go unreported, videos of famine censored, leaving the global audience in the dark about the true scale of horror. What if Gaza had been the oppressor? Now, flip the script. Imagine Gaza as the aggressor, bombarding Israeli cities relentlessly since 2023, while Israel faces famine and hospital shortages. The global outcry would be immediate and deafening. World leaders would convene emergency UN sessions within hours, passing resolutions condemning Gaza as a terrorist state, demanding ceasefires and humanitarian corridors. Sanctions would cripple Palestine's economy overnight, with the US leading a coalition to isolate them diplomatically. Media outlets worldwide would flood with heart-wrenching images of starving Jewish children, front-page stories detailing every bombed hospital, and 24/7 coverage interviewing survivors. Celebrities would launch viral campaigns, hashtags like #StandWithIsrael trending globally, raising millions in aid. Protests would erupt in major cities, New York, London, Paris, with crowds chanting for justice, boycotts of Palestinian goods enforced by governments. The ICC would issue arrest warrants for Gaza's leaders the same day, labeling it genocide without hesitation. Humanitarian aid would pour in, airlifts bypassing blockades, and military interventions discussed openly to protect innocent lives. History's sensitivity to Jewish suffering, rooted in the Holocaust, would amplify this, with memorials and documentaries produced rapidly. No vetoes would block UN actions, instead, they'd accelerate them. This stark contrast reveals deep-seated biases. Palestinian blood is deemed less worthy, their cries muffled, while reversed roles would mobilize the world in unified fury, exposing how empathy is selective, tied to politics, religion, and power. In this reversal, innocent Israeli kids starving, hospitals bombed, would global media flood with images of Jewish suffering? History suggests yes. The world rallied for Ukraine in 2022 with billions in aid. Would it do less for Israel, given the West's historical sensitivities to Jewish blood? Think about it. If Palestinian forces caused such devastation in Israel, protests would erupt worldwide. Celebrities and politicians would condemn it as genocide, not self-defense. But in reality, Gaza's plight draws muted responses, highlighting a blind eye to Palestinian suffering. USA hypocrisy. The USA's hypocrisy stands out. In 2025, the US has expedited over $4 billion in military aid to Israel, with total spending on operations exceeding $22.76 billion. Active arms sales cases: 751, valued at $39.2 billion. Yet, calls for Palestinian aid are often blocked. If roles flipped and Palestine oppressed Israel, America would likely bomb Gaza into oblivion. Remember, the US vetoed multiple UN resolutions on Gaza in 2025, shielding Israel. Would it tolerate the reverse? No. Immediate sanctions, airstrikes, and full-throated support for Israel. Compared to other conflicts. In Sudan, millions face famine in 2025 with little global outcry. Yemen's war drew aid but not the passion seen for European crises. This selective empathy exposes biases. Non-Western lives seem cheaper, especially when Israel is involved. Western leaders decry human rights abuses elsewhere but stay silent on Gaza. The EU's 2025 inaction, despite famine confirmations, fuels accusations of double standards. South Africa's ICJ case against Israel highlights this: genocide claims ignored while similar ones against others are pursued. This hypocrisy isn't new. The US recognizes genocides like in Rwanda but denies Gaza's, per 2025 reports. If Jewish blood spilled at this scale, world powers would mobilize armies. Palestinians? Mere statements of concern amid ongoing blockade. Global media plays a role too. Coverage of Palestinian deaths is often downplayed, while Israeli casualties dominate headlines. In 2025, Al Jazeera reports show aid experts calling Gaza's famine man-made, yet Western outlets focus on Israel's security narrative. The blind eye extends to international law. Israel rejects criticism of its Gaza plans, as seen in August 2025 UN sessions. If Palestine did the same to Israel, ICC warrants would issue overnight, not delayed as they are now. This injustice erodes trust in global institutions. The UN chief called the conflict a breaking point in 2025, urging peace. Yet, vetoes protect the powerful, leaving civilians to suffer. It's a system rigged against the vulnerable. What if Jewish children starved in Israel under Palestinian siege? Outrage would be deafening: boycotts, sanctions, humanitarian corridors forced open. But for Gaza, the world watches, exposing racial and religious biases in humanitarian responses. USA's reaction to a reversed scenario. Overwhelming force. With $39.2 billion in arms deals, America arms Israel now. Against Palestine? Expect drone strikes, no-fly zones, and coalitions formed overnight to protect democracy. The general public must wake up. Educate yourself on both sides, Read reports from UNRWA and Amnesty. Support balanced media, sign petitions for ceasefires, and vote for leaders who demand accountability from all parties. Boycott companies profiting from the occupation. Join protests for equal rights. Demand your government cut biased aid, push for humanitarian corridors in Gaza, just as they would for Israel in our hypothetical. What we can do. Spread awareness online. Share stories of suffering on both sides to humanize the conflict. Support organizations like Doctors Without Borders, aiding Gaza amid hypocrisy. There's hope amid the darkness. In January 2025, a US-mediated ceasefire showed dialogue is possible. Grassroots movements grow, with global solidarity pushing for justice. Imagine a world without biases, where suffering evokes equal outrage, regardless of faith or nationality. Your voice can bridge divides, fostering peace for Israelis and Palestinians alike. Let's reject hypocrisy. Demand fairness now, and build a future where no child, Israeli or Palestinian, suffers in silence. Together, we can turn outrage into action for lasting harmony. The fire we are letting burn in Gaza will eventually reach our homes if we continue to support it and turn a blind eye, because fire does not stay contained for long.
Your opinion is what helps us expand our knowledge. Please share your thoughts on the question we asked and let us know what we should investigate next. Don't forget to subscribe to Question Everything and hit the bell. Stay curious and keep questioning.